Peace, peace, peace. Back in the building. Welcome to You and I Versal Temple, the Sun, Planet, Moon, and Stars. And today we got our special guest, Keng Bay. You already know, you know what I'm saying? And we got to go into, you know what I'm saying, the science on Treaty of Peace and Friendship. About to go into that, start breaking that down, see what that's talking about. And the guests have arrived. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
(1787) Between Morocco and the United States. Between Morocco and the United States.
Yeah, you gotta share your screen, guys.
Persons to whom these presents.
Say what?
Presents shall come or be made known, whereas the United States of America, in Congress assembled, to all persons to whom these presents shall come or be.
You share your screen?
Oh, I didn't share my screen.
Hey, there you go.
Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Treaty of Peace and Friendship. 1787. Between Morocco and the United States. Between Morocco and the United States. To all persons to whom these presents shall come or be made known, whereas the United States of America, in Congress assembled by their commission bearing date the 12th day of May 1784, thought proper to constitute John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson their ministers plenipotentiary, giving to them, or a majority of them, full powers to confer, treat, and negotiate with the ambassador, minister, or commissioner of His Majesty the Emperor of Morocco concerning a treaty of amity and commerce, to make and receive propositions for such treaty, and to conclude and sign the same, transmitting to the United States in Congress assembled for their final ratification. And by one other commission bearing date the 11th day of March 1785 did further empower the said ministers plenipotentiary, or a majority of them, by writing under the hands and seals to appoint such agent in the said business, as they might think proper, with authority under the directions and instruction of the said ministers to commence and prosecute the said negotiations, and confer inces for the said treaty, provided that the said treaty should be signed by ministers, and whereas we the said John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, two of the said ministers plenipotentiary, the said Benjamin Franklin be absent, by writing under the hand and seal of the said John Adams at London, October 5th, 1785, and of the said Thomas Jefferson at Paris.
You can pause it.
1007.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you peep that? They said Thomas Jefferson and
Benjamin Franklin.
Thomas
ministers.
Yeah, that they are the what they said they the ministers. Plenipotentiary said Benjamin Franklin by writing under the hand of seal of the said John Adams at London. Yeah, so basically they was acting as the ministers, so they were the ones putting the fiat on the document, you know what I'm saying, or creating the ordinance in the document, you know what I mean?
Right. They have what they call plenipotentiary powers.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And we'll get into that.
So as a Minister of Foreign Affairs for your international organization, you have the plenipotentiary powers, or whatever how you pronounce that?
Yeah, you'll have plenipotentiary powers.
Right.
right here. Plenipotentiary power. So before we go on, we can look at that and understand what that is, right? A person, especially a diplomat, invested with the full power of independent action on the behalf of the government, typically in a foreign country. So you remember that document of full powers?
Right.
That's what that's for. So you can act independently without
Right.
anyone.
Right. To say that. So even before you accede, before you do your instrument of accession, before you accede to the treaty, you're stating that these are my primary rights, my unalienable rights. Before I even contract with you, I have rights that are going to be protected. You know what I mean?
Right. So where was we at? I just start here.
And by one other commission bearing date the 11th day of March 1785 did further empower the said ministers plenipotentiary, or a majority of them, by writing under the hands and seals to appoint such agent in the said business as they might think proper with authority under the directions and instruction of the said ministers to commence and prosecute
But
the said
no, I heard
negotiations
you.
and confer inces for the said treaty
What?
provided the said treaty should be
Now what you say?
Nah, this girl interrupted me. As you.
Okay.
What happened
be
now?
signed by ministers, and whereas, we the said John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson two of the said ministers plenipotentiary, the said Benjamin Franklin be ing absent, by writing under the hand and seal of the said John Adams at London, October 5th, 1785, and of the said Thomas Jefferson at Paris October the 11th of the same year, did appoint Thomas Barclay, agent in the business aforesaid, giving him the powers therein, which by the said second commission we were authorized go give, and the said Thomas Barclay in pursuance thereof, bath arranged articles for a treaty of amity and commerce between the United States of America and His Majesty the Emperor of Morocco, and sealed with his royal seal, being translated into the language of said United States of America, together with the attestations thereto, and next are in the following words, to wit, in the name of Almighty God. This is a treaty of peace and friendship established between us and the United States of America, which is confirmed, and which we have ordered to be written in the book and sealed with our royal seal at our court of Morocco in the 25th day of the blessed month of Ban in the year 1200, trusting in God it will remain permanent. Article 1 We declare that both parties have agreed that this treaty consisting of 25 articles shall
Easy,
be
man.
booked and delivered to the Honorable Thomas Barclay, the agent of the United States now at our court, with whose approbation it has been made, and who is duly authorized on their part to treat with us concerning all the matters contained therein.
So you see this word? Approbation. Approbation. Right? What does this word remind you of? Probation, approval, or praise. Right? Let's continue.
Therein, Article 2 If either of the parties shall be at war with any nation whatever, the other party shall not take a commission from the enemy nor fight under their colors. Article 3 If either of the parties shall be at war with any nation whatever, and take a prize belonging to that nation, and there shall be found on board subjects, or effects belonging to either of the parties, the subjects shall be set at liberty, and the effect returned to the owners. And if any goods belonging to any nation, with whom either the parties shall be at war, shall be loaded on vessels belonging to the other party, they shall pass free and unmolested without any attempt being made to take or detain them. Article 4A.
Peace, God. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, break it down, G.
Okay. In this article, right, it says if either of the parties shall be at war with any nation, whatever, and take a prize belonging to that nation, and there shall be found on board subjects or effects belonging to either of the parties, the subject shall be set at liberty. That means they gotta let them go.
Right.
The effects return to its owner.
That's what I was talking about my kids. Like, yo, y'all motherfuckers better return my kids. Fuck all this court shit, all this state shit, and all y'all talking about nigga. Fuck all that shit.
And if
Turn
any
my motherfucking property.
And if any goods belong to any nation with
Shit
whom
back in the day.
either parties be at war, shall be loaded up on vessels belonging to the other parties. They shall pass free and unmolested without any attempt being made to take or detain. This is your freedom of transit.
And basically, that means that I could go and just get my kids, and they cannot stop me from doing so.
Exactly. This is your freedom of transit.
But like I say, to prevent all the confusion, I'm gonna have the sheriff. I'm gonna delegate the sheriffs the authority to go and do.
Once you claim that you are more, this treaty supposed to kick in.
Right, but through a session, you got to follow the proper protocol. Like people thinking, like, oh, I filed my declaration papers. I treaty a peace of friendship apply to me, and it don't. You got
Right.
to do the proper protocol through the conventions and the protocols that they set up. Because that's what all the nations that acknowledge that treaty. That's the protocol that they followed, and that's how they came to the secession or accession of that treaty. So if we gonna do it, or anybody else gonna do it, they gotta do the same way. You don't know, like
Right.
special way to come into a secret side back door or something like.
There you go.
A signal or pass shall be given to all vessels belonging to both parties, by which they are to be known when they meet at sea, and if the commander of a ship of war of either party shall have other ships under his convoy, the declaration of the commander shall alone be sufficient to exempt any of them from examination.
Uh-huh. So
Article
you
5
can't be examined.
shall be at war, and shall
You see that?
They said exempt from examination.
Exactly.
They can't attempt to examine you or try to check you or search you and all that other type stuff.
Yeah, so your treaty rights supersede all this shit.
All the
That's
state stuff.
all this shit. Okay.
That's why you know what, on our nationality cards, we have new nationality cards made and have the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. After we accede, our thing's gonna be on our nationality card. Like, yeah, we accede to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and all the rights apply to us. So you might want to read that before you proceed.
Fucking with us, right?
Right.
vessel at sea, belonging to the other, it is agreed that if an examination is to be made, it shall be done by sending a boat with 2 or 3 men only, and if any gun shall be bred and injury done without reason, the offending party shall make good all damages. Article 6 If any more shall bring citizens of the United States, or their effects to his majesty, the citizens shall indignantly be set at liberty, and the effects restored. And in like manner, if any more not a subject of the dominions shall make prize of any of the citizens of America, or their effects, and bring them into any of the ports of his majesty, they shall be immediately released, as they will be considered as under his majesty's protection. Article 7 If any vessel of either party shall
Yeah, number 7 is real important.
port of the other, and have occasion for provisions or other supplies, they shall be furnished without any interruption or molestation.
Right.
Okay.
So it says, if any vessel of other party shall put into a port of other and and have occasion for provisions for other supplies, they will be furnished without any interruption. So in other words, or molestation. So in other words, in the court, the my son's baby mother tried to say, oh well, Mr. Hardy, he hasn't made a claim on the second child. Da, 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 da. Motherfucker, them my kids by blood. So when I make the claim on my first son, the second one is coming along without any interruption or molestation. So you can't try to say I can't claim my child by birth. Okay, I mean by blood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Saint Julius, how I say Saint Julius, so how you pronounce that? Right to the blood.
Molestation. Article 8. If any vessel of the United States shall meet with a disaster at sea and put into one of our ports to repairs, she shall be at liberty to land and reload her cargo without paying any duty whatever.
Mm.
Article 9. If any vessel of the untied state.
Freedom of transit.
Hold on,
That's what that was. What you were saying about freedom of transit?
Yeah. Hold on. I fucked up.
States shall be cast on shore on any part of our coasts. She shall remain at the disposition of the owners, and no one shall attempt going near her without their approbation, as she is then considered particularly under our protection. And if any vessel of the United States shall be forced to put into our ports, by stress of weather or otherwise, she shall not be compelled to land her cargo, but shall remain in tranquillity, until the commander shall think proper to proceed on his voyage. Article 10. If any vessel of either of the parties shall have an engagement with a vessel belonging to any of the Christian powers within gunshot of the forts of the other, the vessel so engaged shall be defended and protected as much as possible until she is in safety. And if any American vessel shall be cast on shore on the coast of Wad Noon, or any coast thereabout, the people to her shall be protected and assisted until by the help of God they shall be sent to their country.
Pause.
Article 11. If we shall be at war with any.
So that just said basically the treaty between Morocco and the United States of America is a treaty between Islam and Christianity, because
Right.
it said any port, and that's why I was talking about George Washington, how he changed the fiat of the nation and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And blah, 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 blah. So, but this right here stating, he said any vessels belonging to any of the Christian powers within gunshot of the forts of the vessel engaged shall be defended and protected as much as possible until it is safe. So in other words, they got protections on the sea. You know what I mean? Because like this is dealing with admiralty law. You know what I'm saying? Law of the sea.
So, but also give us our international protection. I mean, just give us protection. United States, we're a protected class once we become a moored. We're supposed to be a protected class under the United States jurisdiction. We shouldn't be touched.
Right. But a lot of people be dealing with naturalization and then applying for citizenship. And that's why they come subject to the United States instead of having international protections that the United States is supposed to provide them. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like they take a sucker's deal, like, oh well, you know what? I'll be in the middle ground. No, you're supposed to be at the top, equal with them. You know what I'm saying? Not settling for the middle ground. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's why Jesus said, "You shall be the head and not the tail."
Right. Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
I hear that.
So let me continue. This is good information, bro.
Christian power, and any of our vessels sail from the ports of the United States. No vessel belonging to the enemy shall follow until 24 hours after the departure of our vessels, and the same regulation shall be observed towards the American vessels sailing from our ports, be the enemies Moors or Christians.
Moors or Christians.
12. If any ship of war belonging to the United States shall.
See, you heard that? It said, Republicans, regulation shall not be observed toward the American vessel sailing from the ports, be the enemies Moors or Christians. So in other words, if it's a Christian vessel or a Moorish vessel, they basically have to travel unmolested. Like you can't fuck with them basically. Like, yo, leave them alone. And then I guess they're supposed to provide each other aid and assist each other or lead each other to safety. Like if they see a Christian vessel out there on the sea and it's desolate, is like stranded or something, they're supposed to help them, I guess, protect them until they get to shore, so they get to safety. You know what I mean? And they do the same thing and vice versa. That's why, like sometimes you see in these movies, like you see the Coast Guard out there, and you'll see a ship, on the side, and it's their responsibility to make sure that these people get to a safe place. You know what I'm saying? That's like their job. You know, they're like the sea police. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah. So.
Yeah, but even if so, say for example, United States is a Christian nation. They say it right here, right? This is in the treaty. They're a Christian power.
Right.
So let's say we in war with another Christian nation. They supposed to allow us 24 hours away from them before they can let them release, before we can make any contact for any other war. So we are protected class under this treaty.
Courts, she shall not be examined on any pretense whatever, even though she should have fugitive slaves on board, nor shall the governor or commander of the place compel them to be brought on shore on any pretext,
Sorry, God, you
and require any
can
payment to them.
pardon. Like I do want to express too. David Windmiller was breaking down about the dry dock vessel and how like when you approach their docks, you're approaching their dock, and your document is a dry dock vessel, like as it said, and basically you're basically once you enter their port or their court is a port. You know what I'm saying? Because I said they're dealing with admiralty law, and once you go past that little swinging gavel, that little swinging door, you just stepped on us. You just aborted ship. You know what I'm saying? So when you aboard ship, you're entering onto their vessel. You know what I mean? You're pulling into their dock. You know what I mean? And now you either there to unload the goods, which is you placing your information into evidence. That's basically their depository. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The court. You know what I'm saying? You place your information into evidence, and then now the judge is going to act as if like he's reading your manifest. He's reading the receipts of the goods, and he's saying, okay, well, he's basically trying to see, well, who do these goods belong to? Because if you don't have ownership of these goods, then you just handed this shit over to me, and I'm gonna keep this. You know what I mean? So that's why I was trying to tell my brother. I'm like, yo, if you go and you hand them that birth certificate, and he said he didn't attach the affidavit to it stating whatever. I said then it's not valid. It's not gonna be a valid contract because you didn't add your title of ownership to it. So all you did now is just said it's like you acted as an informant and you handed them over some goods, and then they made the claim on it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that's what they do with everything.
Right. But it's like, but what I'm trying to say is though, we got to realize that we're doing that because we can't say like we got to stop saying all this. Oh, they doing this, they doing that. No, we got to realize that we're the ones handing it over to them. You know what I'm saying? So we got to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Just like even with the notary, you know what I'm saying? We got to stop doing the notary, get the notary attestation. Because like I said, we can put all this sovereign, this, that, and third stuff in our documents. Then we go get it notarized and place ourselves right back under their jurisdiction.
Did you see in the earlier parts where it says that this document is gonna be attested? See, that's what I'm talking about. It's all in this document too. Notary attestation. So you don't even have to have a notary if you don't want to. You can just have 3 witnesses.
Right. And also too, the assigning countries are also going to be signatories to the contract or to the accession. So that's also an attestation as well.
Right, but you gotta remember, we gonna deposit
your own.
We gonna
that's how you certify your document. Sorry.
So guess what too? They gonna be witnesses. They can be called as witnesses. You see what I'm saying? Because we're going to take this succession and deposit it, and now they are witness of the document to say, hey, this is true. They can enforce these rights. You see what I'm
saying? And then they give it their full faith and credit as well.
Exactly.
On top of our already certification, you know what I'm saying? Through attestation.
Exactly. This is why I'm trying to tell people there's levels to this, man. There's levels. Brothers don't want to listen. Let's continue.
Article 13. If a ship of war of either party shall put into a port of the other and salute, it shall be returned from the fort with an equal number of guns, not with more or less. Article 14. The commerce with the United States shall be on the same footing as is the commerce with Spain, or as that with the most favored nation for the time being, and their citizens shall be respected and esteemed, and have full liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports whenever they please, without interruption. Article 15. Merchants of both
travel quickly.
Both countries shall employ only such interpreters, and such other persons to assist them in their business, as they shall think proper. No commander of a vessel shall transport his cargo on board another vessel. He shall not be detained in port longer than he may think proper, and all persons employed in loading or unloading goods, or in any labor whatever, shall be paid at the customary rates, not more and not less. Article 16.
Equal consideration.
War between the parties. The prisoners are not to be made slaves, but to be exchanged one for another, captain for captain, officer for officer, and one private man for another. And if there shall prove a deficiency on either side, it shall be made up by the payment of 100 Mexican dollars for each person wanting. And it is agreed that all prisoners shall be exchanged in 12 months from the time of their being taken, and that this exchange may be effected by a merchant or any other person authorized by either of the parties.
Pause.
Article 17. Merchants shall not be compelled to...
This is how we can go get people out of jail.
Right. Habeas corpus type shit.
Exactly. Because now we can put what they call an amicus brief. Let me show this. An amicus brief. A legal term, amicus curiae, is a Latin phrase that literally means friend of the court. The term is used to refer to a legal brief called an amicus brief that may be filed with an appellate court, including the Supreme Court, by a party not involved with a current case, but in support of one side or another of the legal issue at hand. An amicus brief, literally friend of the court, a person with a strong interest in or view of the subject matter of an action, but not a party to the action, may petition the court for permission to file a brief ostensibly on behalf of a party, but actually to suggest a rational consistent with its own views.
So like an arbitrator. Would that be an arbitrator?
Something like that. You can file that with the court, and you can say you can force the court to look at that and say, hey, here's the treaty rights. I think y'all need to conclude this or include that. He's a more. We are all friends here, remember? I'm not the enemy. So you can enforce the treaty rights when you definitely fucking with that amicus brief and that along with that habeas corpus. You can file them both together. This is why I say it's levels to this, and people need to understand this stuff as it relates to this.
Yo, so what if somebody, like, say I'm in jail, right? I want to write him a letter, like letting him know, I have plans on doing this or whatever, and say if I send it through like registered mail or something like that, they still be able to open his mail, or if they ain't got no rights in jail, so they can just open the mail and shit.
Right. Yeah, but this is the thing. Now, once we come under this, we got freedom of transit.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is, though, I don't want them to figure out that this is what he's trying to do, and then they fuck around trying to hurt him before he get a chance to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened to him. You know what I mean?
They gonna do what they gonna do unless you bring it in. What? Okay. Go drink you some. I ain't got no water. All right. I'm gonna take you to the doctor next week. All right. What happened? What?
My face turning red, like little spots on my face.
Let me see. Okay, let's continue.
To buy or sell any kind of good.
I'm gonna have to take you to the doctor.
Goods, but such as they shall think proper, and may buy and sell all sorts of merchandise, but such as are prohibited to the other Christian nations. Article 18. All goods shall be weighed and examined before they are sent on board, and to avoid all detention of vessels, no examination shall afterwards be made, unless it shall first be proved that contraband goods have been sent on board, in which case the persons who took the contraband goods on board shall be punished according to the usage and custom of the country, and no other person whatever shall be injured, nor shall the ship or cargo incur any penalty or damage whatever. Article 19. No vessel shall be detained in port on any pretense whatever, nor be obliged to take on board on any articles without the consent of the commander, who shall be at full liberty to agree if the
Part of stuff now pertaining to the rise of the Moore brothers, right? They wasn't on sea, but still their private conveyance would be considered a ship on land. So if they're traveling, they're supposed to be unmolested while traveling. So if the Treaty of Peace and Friendship applies to them, then they should be able to enforce the fact that they're able to travel unmolested, travel with no interruptions, you know what I'm saying, so forth, so forth.
But
So
did they accede to the treaties? Do they got evidence of that stuff?
I'm trying to say, I don't know. Like that's what I try to say. Like a lot of brothers be going through a whole lot of other methods. They be dealing with the state and all this state stuff, man. That's why I keep telling people, man, all this filing documents with the Department of State and all that. That stuff really don't mean nothing. Yo, this lady even told me one time when I went there, I said, so miss, so what is all this do, this full faith and credit? And she like, I said, so does this even do anything for your document? She was like, look, give me a look like, not really. But at the same time, she's only on a public level, so maybe she don't understand what we're trying to do with these documents by getting the full faith and credit and all of that. But you know what I'm saying? Still, all in all, now that I go through all of this and I'm saying like I realize that, like I said, man, you wanna deal more so with the Secretary General and make depositories on the international level. All the state depositing your documents with the state. It's like saying it's within the matrix. You know what I'm saying? It's like filing a document with the court. Same thing. Department of State is a court. Secretary of State, their office, that's a court. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's an administrative court where they administrate your documents.
Anytime that you converse with somebody on legal matters, they consider that holding court. That's under English law.
Right. And that's why like I've been seeing a lot of Moors, they be holding court in the street right there with the cop, and they be breaking down law to them. They stop all that law shit on them cops, and cops be like, you know what? Let that nigga go, man. Fuck you. We ain't trying to go down the line with that nigga. Like, you know what I mean? He just hit us with the federal the USC code, the international Nah, I ain't fucking with that nigga. Let him go, Johnny. Let him go. We'll get another nigga. We'll get one of these dumb niggas who don't know anything. Yeah.
for the freight of any goods he takes on board. Article 20. If any of the citizens of the untied states, or any persons under their protection, shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties, and whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. Article 21. If any citizen of the untied states should kill or wound a Moor, or, on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered, the consul assisting at the trial. And if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. Article 22. If an American citizen shall die in our country, and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of high effects. And if there shall be no consul, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust, until the party shall appear, who has right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruptions. And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will as soon as the consul shall declare the
Oh shit.
Right. Give me my property.
This is dealing with your birth certificate.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? It says, if an American citizen shall die in our country and no will shall appear. You see that? No will. The council shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no council, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust.
So that would be like an ad lidium. You know how you try to put the ad lidium over your children and shit like that?
Yeah. Until the party shall appear. So we got to appear.
Right.
Who has the right to demand them, right? But if the heirs to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruptions.
Right.
And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will as soon as council shall declare the validity of the will. Boy, the will is the most important document.
There we go.
You feel me?
Right.
Tell you in the treaty. Let's go.
Validity thereof. Article 23. The consuls of the United States of America shall reside in any port of our dominions that they shall think proper, and they shall be respected, and enjoy all the privileges which the consuls of any other Nothian enjoy. And if any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, the consul shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment or fulfilling thereof, without which he is in writing, no application to him for any redress shall be made.
Heard that? So basically, you ain't got to pay for nothing. It said the Council of the United States shall reside in any pod or and of our dominions that they shall think proper, and they shall be respected and enjoy all privileges which the council of any other nation enjoy. And if any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, the counselor shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment of fulfilling thereof. Without the promise in writing, no application to him for any redress shall be made. So, may I say you got to redress the straw man or redress? So now the citizen would be the straw man, and then you as the acceded person, now you can draw promissory notes for the straw man. Basically, that's how I would see that. You know what I mean?
Well,
It says,
but this is what they saying too, right? You don't have to pay back any debts unless you make out a promissory note, right?
Right, but Paul that's saying for the United States citizens. We not necessarily a citizen, but the straw man would be considered a citizen. So once you take the claim on the straw man, now you can write promissory notes with that treasury bond. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can write promissory notes. Basically, you can discharge any debts in the name of the straw man. That's the American citizen. That's the U.S. citizen. The straw man.
Right.
But you're doing all of this in your live proper person. You know what I'm saying? Propria persona.
Made. Article 24. If any differences shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles of this treaty, peace and harmony shall remain notwithstanding, in the fullest force, until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms. And if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties, to dispose of their effects and retire with their property. And it is further declared that whatever indulgences, in trade or otherwise, shall be granted to any of the Christian powers, the citizens of the United States shall be equally entitled to them. Article 25. This treaty shall continue in full force for 50 years. We delivered this book into the hands of the before-mentioned Thomas Barclay, on the first day of the blessed month of Ramadan, in the year 1200. I certify that the annexed is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac Cardoza Nunez, interpreter at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco.
Right, a treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States. But it's before that says this treaty is in full force with the help of God for 50 years. We delivered this book into the land. So this is the 1787 treaty. And then 50 years after that is what, 1836? That's when it was ratified again. Yeah. So this one is the original treaty. Then we gotta read into the 1836 treaty, the ratified treaty, the updated one, the amended. Right. And also it's ratified because it was then signed on to after that 50 years. but it was a grace period of a 50-year accession, meaning they could accede to it for 50 years. You know what I'm saying? Until it becomes official by the ratification. Um,
Okay, God, I gotta. You can continue. I'm right here. I just gotta give my daughter some medicine.
it just took down though. The all right. Um, all right. Yeah, I was saying. It says, we delivered this book. All right. Then no, down a little bit. I mean, up, back up a little. Yeah. Right there. No. It says, we delivered this book into the hands of the before mentioned Thomas Barclay on the first day of the blessed month of Ramadan in the year of 1000, um, basically 1787 or 1778 or whatever the year was. Um, you know what I mean? And basically that right there was a divine ordinance. They said this is in full force with the help of God. Fiat. That's the fiat is an authoritative command. You know what I'm saying? So that was the fiat that they added to this. So basically, because they say they basically do everything in the name of God. You know what I'm saying? God is the authority to give them the authority to do everything they do. So this was so like they said, this is in full effect with the help of God, and was delivered. This book was delivered to Thomas Barclay in day one of the year, I mean of the month of Ramadan. And we know that Ramadan is the month of fasting for the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? So being that this is a treaty between Morocco, and then it goes on further to say how this is a treaty between. It says I clarify that the annex is a true copy of the translated translation made by Isaac Cardoza Nunez, interpreter at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America, not the United States, the United States of America. There's a difference. United States is a corporation. United States of America is a corporation too, because there's a United States of America Inc. Inc. in all lowercase. In all lowercase states their sovereignty because they are a sovereign nation. Understand what I'm saying? And when you see it in all caps, that's the corporation. You know what I mean? And now first letter uppercase, rest lowercase is capitis minimis minutio, meaning they reserve some of the natural rights, but they reserve some of their legal rights, but some of their natural rights are taken away. So that's what the state does basically. They give you some of your legal rights, but your natural rights are taken away. So in other words, oh yeah, you can have this baby, but you got to come to the hospital and get a birth certificate so we could bring you into the commercial realm and make your child an entity. So basically, you know what I'm saying, you still gotta, you know what I mean? Like I said, they still gonna drag you into that commercial realm. You know what I mean? Because they were allowed to do commerce over here. You know what I'm saying? The Emperor of Morocco, Sultan of Morocco gave them permission to come and do commerce over here. So therefore, that's what they do in commerce. But being that we haven't been hip to the commerce game and knowing what's going on and hip to all things going on and da da da, and treaty and trust law and all these types of things, and therefore we've been taking advantage of it. And so-called people that are in positions to uphold honor and be honorable, they're not doing so. Because for one, you know what I'm saying, those of us who are the so-called heirs to the throne, enough of us are not rising up, as you say, rise of the Moors. We're not rising up to take ownership of that throne or of that status or of that claim. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this all individually, one by one, one by one, one by one, and we're not collectively acceding to a treaty. Let's just say, like, if all black people in America was to listen to the Moors and be like, you know what, we gonna do this all. You know, fuck all this Negro colored, black, African American stuff. You know, say, okay, we are Moorish American. We have a nationality, and Moorish is Morocco, American is America. That makes us international. So now, and we have a treaty that's going to bring us international protections. You know what? Let's all collectively accede to this treaty as a people. This would change the whole nation state, the whole state of the nation. Like, yo, wait a minute, these 40 million black slaves have jumped up and claimed nationality and acceded to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is the oldest treaty between the United States of America and any other country. Oh my God.
Yeah. He is about to come back and no.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. You know, that would shake up the world, man. That would shake this whole nation, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like in 1929, you know what I'm saying? Moorish Science Temple of America, 1928, 1929. You had so many Moors that was nationalizing and claiming their estates, and that was causing a big disruption in the stock market. Because remember, our estates are traded on the stock market. We are the first, us as physical black people, as so-called slaves, we were the first thing traded on the stock market. So to this day, as they just like Lincoln didn't enslave. He just transferred the ownership of the slaves from the plantation owners to the federal government. And then the federal government issued the whole birth certificate, securitized us as natural beings and turned us into corporate entities. They securitized bonds on us, known as a birth certificate. And then they labeled us as state property. And now, being that we're considered state property, they're considered the custodians of us. They treat us as minorities. A minority is one who is a minor, who thinks in an adolescent state of mind. And you need someone to think and do for you. Don't you know if your child gets in trouble in court, you as the parent, being the adult, of the age of majority, you could actually come and speak on defense of your child because your child is a minority. But instead, we just give the state and we be like, oh, just get a lawyer or get an attorney. They know the law. I don't know law. Study some law and speak for your child, because you could be able to defend your own child in a court case. You know what I'm saying? Because you are the majority and they are the minority. You know what I mean?
So the thing about it, this is why the will is so important. And
Also, we just took down the
you want me to put the tree back up? I fault, God.
yeah.
Oh, come on, boy.
Yeah, I was just breaking down that right there. You see, in that statement right there, I certify that the annex is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac. This and is signed by Thomas Barclay. So Thomas Barclay acceded to this. See his ratification. This is his signature. He ratified this document by assigning to it. You know what I'm saying? So this statement here, I certify that the annex, meaning the attached document, is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac Cardoza Nunez, interpreted at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America. So in other words, Thomas Barclay is bearing witness and to the translation made by Isaac Cardoza Nunez, who was the interpreter at the conference they had with the meeting between Morocco, the Emperor of Morocco, and the United States. Like, in other words, Isaac Cardoza was there. He was the interpreter, and he basically interpreted this information. And Thomas Barclay agreed. You know what I'm saying? So, like King was also breaking down before too. You know, we have interpreters, lawyers come and speak on our behalf. We have interpreters speak on our behalf. You know what I'm saying? Because an interpreter may be translating another language from one nation to another nation. You know what I'm saying? So say, for example, if I said my language is supreme mathematics, I got an interpreter to come up there, I got a God to come up there as my interpreter. I'd be like, yeah, see, God is trying to say that. Y'all need to acknowledge the fact that you need to make an owner of those seeds, and that y'all need to bear witness that the fact that the cream of the planet Earth came from his divine God, and that's his intellectual property, and therefore y'all need to transfer that over to the God.
So let me explain something to you about the notice of intent or the letter of intent. You are the interpreter because you know your intent. So you put in the only person can translate your intent, or this is why the court can only They have the power to interpret law. Who can interpret your law of your family other than yourself? So you are supreme authority over everything when you understand the laws of succession as it relates to your rights. You the ultimate of authority. You the head and not the tail.
What's that? Call of Duty Warzone. Call of Duty Cold War.
That's why I say it's levels to this.
Yeah, the treaty came. The treaty. Yeah, you wanna play it or you.
What you say?
I was saying, you want to play it? Finish playing it?
Yeah.
Morocco and the United States of America. Thomas Barclay. Thomas Barclay. Barclay. Thomas Barclay. Additional article. Article. Grace to the only God. Grace to the only God.
All
I,
right.
the underwritten, the servant of God, Taher ben Abdelkaf Fenish, do certify that His Imperial Majesty, my master, whom God preserve, having concluded a treaty of peace and commerce with the United States of America, has ordered me
Peace
the
and
better to
commerce.
complete it, and in addition of the 10th article of the treaty, to declare that if any vessel belonging to the United States shall be in any of the ports of His Majesty's dominions, or within gunshot of his forts, she shall be protected as much as possible, and no vessel whatever, belonging either to Moorish or Christian powers, with whom the United States may be at war, shall be permitted to follow or engage her, as we now deem the citizens, O citizens of America, our good friends. America. And in obedience to this Majesty's commands, I certify this declaration, by putting my hand and seal to it, on the 18th day of Ramadan, in the year 1200. The servant of the king, my master, whom God preserve. Taher ben Abdelkaf Fenish. Taher ben Abdelkaf Fenish. Taher ben Abdelkaf Fenish. Fenish. I do certify that the above is a true copy of the translation made at Morocco by Isaac Cardoza Nunez, interpreter, of a declaration made and signed by C.D.H. Taher Fenish, in addition to the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America, which declaration the said Taher.
Yeah. So Thomas Barclay acceded to or acknowledged Tahir's Ben whatever finish signature, and then he acknowledged Thomas Barclay, and then John Adams, and then Thomas Jefferson. Like this is all attestation. They're all attestating to each other's acknowledgement
Right.
through the interpreters. And like I was saying earlier, like you said about the interpreters, how we have interpreters speak on our behalf. We don't have attorneys and stuff like that. We have for nations, you have interpreters. You know what I'm saying? To speak on your behalf in the language of your nation.
I was telling the brother that. I said back in the days they didn't have lawyers. They had interpreters. A brother was talking about the Moors. He said, well, I would get a lawyer to do that. I said, that's where you'll go wrong. Because now you adding a third language. There's 3 different languages. He's speaking legalese. You might be speaking French, and they may be speaking Dutch. Now you add a third language to even cause further confusion. Why would you do that? So back in the days, they used interpreters. They didn't use lawyers.
Too, that goes into the, like I was thinking about in the Bible, how they say how the Tower of Babel. Now, this is some BS, right? Because in the story, they're saying how, God had wanted the people to do right and to build in his name. And then they had built this Tower of Babel, to try to, reach God or whatever, right? And they was building this tower. And then God said, wait a minute. He said, behold, the man has achieved great accomplishment or something. He said whatever they plan will they will accomplish. It will not be basically won't be unable to accomplish or whatever. And it says come, let's go. He says, come, let's go and destroy them. Basically saying destroy the tower. And he said separate them and separate their tongues. You know what I'm saying? Basically divide their language and have them all speak different languages. Now I'm like, wait a minute. He just prior said that they were supposed to build this tower and they wasn't supposed to be speaking different languages, supposed to all speak one language. Then all of a sudden he said, wait a minute, they're getting too high, they're getting too mighty. Let's come and destroy them and separate them, and they all speak different languages, and now they won't be able to basically come together again. But then they turn around and say God is not the author of confusion. Man, listen, that was confusion. The Tower of Babel. They was doing what you told them to do, which was build this tower and build it up towards you and your name and give you high praise and all of that. Then he said, wait a minute, they're doing too big, they're doing too much. They actually did that. Yo, I didn't think they was actually going to do it. No, let's come and destroy them and separate them and separate their tongues, and they're going to speak different languages and they won't be able to band back together. So, like, come on. But God is not the author of confusion. So what was that? Well, you see, because God, and yeah, I hear you. So yeah, the treaty is almost over. It says, with declaration, the said Tahir finished, made by the express direction of His Majesty. So in other words, Tahir bin Abdet Kak finish is speaking on behalf of the Majesty, the Emperor of Morocco, and he's there, and I guess he's acting as an interpreter for the Emperor of Morocco, and he bears witness to Thomas Barclay's bearing witness. You know what I mean? So basically, they're acknowledging each other's witness and signature and so forth. That's what you call attestation. It says treaty with Morocco, 1786. So when you heard them saying 1,786, it's 1786. Treaty with Morocco, 1786. Now know, yea, that we, the said John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, ministers, plenipotentiary, or whatever, how you pronounce that, aforesaid, do approve and conclude the said treaty and every article and clause therein contained, reserving the same nevertheless to the United States and Congress assembled for their final ratification. So once again, see, ratification means signature. They're signing to, they're signatory. So they just basically express the fact that they acknowledge the United States Congress assembled for their final ratification. So the United States Congress also acceded or signed on to this treaty. You know what I mean? Reserving in the same, nevertheless, do the United States and Congress assembled for their final ratification and testimony wherefore we have signed the same with our names and seals and the places of our prospective residence and at the dates expressed under our signatures respectively. See, so John Adams, London, January 25th, 1786. Thomas Jefferson, Paris, January 1st, 1787. So yeah, so that's their attestations. They all signed on to the treaty. And basically this is what we've been expressing about treaty law. We've been expressing treaty law to y'all. We've been expressing how nations come together, they treaty, meaning they come to an agreement, and then they ratify the documents, they ratify the treaties, meaning they sign onto the treaties, which is a act of accession, meaning they accede to, they become a party to the treaty. You know what I mean? And so now what we've been also expressing through the instrument of full powers, where you preserve your how you say potentiatory, however you pronounce that right there, your powers. You know what I'm saying? You preserve that, and those are basically like primary rights, your unalienable rights, the rights that you have privately and internationally preserved before you even step into the realm of contracting or treating with anyone else. You protect your primary rights. You know what I mean? And then you go into treaty. You know what I'm saying? Then you accede. Then the next instrument is instrument of accession. After full powers, instrument of accession. Then you accede to the treaty. So therefore, if you accede to this treaty here, you're doing the same thing that Tahir Finnish did, and the same thing Thomas Barclay did, the same thing John Adams did, the same thing Thomas Jefferson did. They all signed on, ratified, and acceded to this treaty, making them a party to this treaty. And so all the clauses and the articles stated in this treaty, all of that will apply to them. And whoever else accedes to this treaty, like they said down here, the United States Congress, also their final ratification. So they also accede to the treaty. So Congress can utilize this treaty. So therefore, when Congress deals in trade or commerce and whatever they do, they have the permission, because like it was just stating, they have a treaty of peace and commerce. You know what I'm saying? So they were given the authority to operate in commerce over here. You know what I'm saying? Via the treaty. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? That's why all of that is. So, yeah, man. You already know, man. It's how it goes down, man. The Universal Temple, man. And the Moorish Universal Society. This is how we do, man. Shout out to Sinful, man. So yeah, God, I just read the rest of that and kind of broke it down. But if you wanna go on it and add on as well, you know what I'm saying?
So I want people to pay attention how things were confirmed as a confirmation of looking at these documents. Just don't read them. Pay attention to the details and how things were solidified. So you can mimic the process by understanding when you do this, what needs to be implemented.
Hey, something like that.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of people, they don't really understand what's going on. And a lot of them just read the words and not pay attention to the details of everything that's going on. So a lot of times how I learned my process is going through the court a lot. And I learned how to make evidence stick. So now I know how to deal with these issues. So like when you go through the laws of succession and you can show receipt, like for example, let's say you fax your law to succession to there. You're going to keep that receipt from the fax. And then you're going to get all of this stuff authenticated. Or you can have a notary, or you can fax from a notary's office, and they can verify that there was a test, that it was sent to the UN. And then you get it authenticated, then those are records and receipts of the transactions. It's a lot of stuff that people got to understand how to go about solidifying evidence. Records have to be certified. It has to be a certificate of the record. And it has to be authenticated. What is the authentication process? The notary has to verify that she's a true notary through the state, and then you can authenticate your signature. And then if you want to further solidify that it was you, you can have two other witnesses attest to that is your signature.
So check it, right? You know how you go to a notary, you get the notary, then you go to the notary authentication. Being that you do your own attestation, that's a form of certification right there. So that becomes a certified document. Then you could go get that certified document, just take it straight to the notary authentication because it's already certified. You know what I mean? And just like kind of skip over the notary, just get the authentication.
So so when people understand this, right? The legal process under the rules of that's why I looked at the rules of evidence. So now once we set up these international organizations, you got to remember once you set yourself up, your family through bloodline automatically is attached. You can go get your brother out of jail. You can go get your mama out of jail. You can go get your sister out of jail. You can do all of these things because they are a part of the treaty through blood.
But hold on, but is that process correct though? What I was just saying before, are you able to do that? Like, it's after you do your own certification of the document through your own witnesses and signatures, then just instead of going to a notary, just go straight to the notary authentication.
No,
Because being,
the notary, you can see all the notaries. See, this is what you're gonna do. What you're gonna just have the notary. The notary don't sign your documents.
now,
So
no, I know. Well, also, what I'm trying to say is that like when you put your autograph and your thumbprint on a document, that makes it certified itself because your thumbprint is a seal, and a seal certifies a document. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is now the document is already certified. So you know how because like when you go through the court process, they say, okay, take it to the notary identification, then go get the document certified. Wait a minute, it's already certified with my seal. So can I just now take this straight to the depository and just deposit it with my seal? You know what I mean? And then they'll deposit the original and give me back a certified copy with their rate seal on it.
well, what you want to do is you want to do it with the notary and then get it authenticated so it'll have the full faith and credit of the United States.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is though, after you take that certified document and you say take it to the Department of State, that should that should be good enough.
They can't authenticate your signature. Only your organization can authenticate your signature. You see what I'm saying?
So all right, so what I'm trying to say is like then then our autograph and seal is not a good enough certification to have it accepted to get their seal. You know what I mean? Like I guess like because you already got your autograph, your two or three people signing with you. You know what I'm saying? And as witnesses and all that. Then like that should be good enough for what I'm trying to say. Like now, like you have to
So
do the step of the notary and the
so look, you see how his name what's the name where the other Tiber Ben Applicat Finish.
yeah.
Then you got Thomas Barclay. So we gonna be here, right? We gonna certify the record. The
Okay.
notary is gonna be Thomas Barclay because they a public official.
Oh, I got you. Got you.
And then she's gonna attest, hey, I signed this, blah, 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 this verification of this record. Then you just gonna get authenticated like, hey, this is a true public officer, a notary that can notarize this document. As she attests to it, because she
So
attesting, all she doing is witnessing as a public official.
I got you. I got you. All right. So then we can get it notarized, but don't notarize under penalty of perjury. And we're
No,
not going to put that clause in there.
no, we not getting our documents notarized. Only thing we doing is having the notary witness off to the document.
Okay. So then so that's being notarized, right?
No,
They taking note of they notarizing meaning
no,
taking
no,
note of your document.
no, she's not notarizing your document. Your document is not being touched by her. It's on a separate. It's on a separate sheet. It's a
So
notary attestation and acknowledgement. She's going to attest to the fact that you signed the document, that you are a proper official. You provided her with all the proper records. You did all the things necessary, and then she's going to then attest to the facts on a separate document, and you're going to attach it to your document. All she's going to do is reference everything you did, the document and everything, and then she's going to sign hers attesting to the fact as a witness, and then all you're going to do is get it authenticated, verified as a true notary.
and that's a notary authenticate. I mean, and that's a notary attestation
Yeah,
first. Then you get a notary authentication.
exactly. Because the only thing you want to do, you want the state to verify that is a public officer who can make such declaration or make such action. Stop, man. Don't mess it up.
Now, I
That's,
guess all these. Yeah. Okay.
a lot of people just don't. That's why I say, like, when you litigated a lot, so a lot of stuff we gonna do, we gonna have court orders. Like once you set up, you can set up your own family court and all of that, and it can go through the United States Family Department of State, and all your stuff can be now confirmed, your wills and all of that stuff, and now it can be all verified, and it'll have the full faith and credit and force of law within the United States jurisdiction. And now that you got the treaty, and then you're an international person, you're double protected. The treaty, the second treaty alone, I gotta go over that one. Once we get the second treaty, that treaty of Burns, it supersedes, it give us rights.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the Treaty of Burns would come into effect unless the Treaty of Burns would cover us in other countries. This treaty would cover us within the United States.
All right. Yo, peace, God. I gotta. I'm gonna move into the other room, so I'm gonna end this one out, and then we can come back and build on the other treaty.
All right.
All right. Peace, God. All right. So peace, 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 peace. Y'all see, man? Once again, this how it goes down, man. All this information we giving y'all, man. We ain't charging y'all. We ain't putting this in no package and give me $500 for a status correction package. Yeah. No. This is how you do things. This is how you know what I'm saying? Raise the bar. And on that note, I'm gonna say power, equality, Allah, equality. Peace.